This is Christopher Smith with a Liberty Minute.
Hello, America. Well, what to say about our non-Muslim Muslim president? For someone who claimed to be quote-unquote Christian, he sure gives it the cold shoulder when you observe his attitude, his tenor, and behavior while under oath. He hasn't attended one Christian function that I'm aware of his own volition. He has dodged every responsibility to observe our national traditions and official functions within the 18 or 19 or so months he's been in office, and has completely neglected the heritage of the office. However, he's made sure that he's attended several Islamic events, including this past week's Ramadan celebration and dinner, where he chose to comment advocating the building of a mosque near Ground Zero where the Twin Towers used to be. Also, for a so-called Christian, he certainly is given to misquoting scripture out of context an awful lot. Now, what we have seen is a contrite and apologetic president appeasing the Islamic traditionalists every chance he gets. What we have seen from our president so far is a Now It's Our Time website dedicated to Obama himself by radical Muslim provocateurs and agitators. In short, what we have seen is anything but an American president representing American interests and values since he took oath. Bottom line is, we got lied to. Frankly, it begs the question if Obama actually engaged in the fascist leverage propaganda tool called al-taqiyya, which is the practice of sanctioned lying to advance Islam. Now, under taqiyya, you can't lie to another Muslim, but you are in fact encouraged to lie to those outside of the world of Islam if it advances Islam or an Islamic agenda. Now, if you understand that this man spent 20 years under a radical anti-American pastor named Jeremiah Wright in the suburbs of Chicago, and that the pinnacle of his teachings and ideology are in fact black liberation theology, those two go hand in hand, so go figure on that one. Knowing this renders any objectivity one would normally afford any consideration of Islam as moot. All one really has to do is go back to World War II, and you can clearly see where real religions of the world drew the line and what side of the fence Islam ended up on. Digressing slightly, even if you have a coffee house understanding of the history of Islam, which really isn't saying a whole lot to begin with, you'll recall there was a split after the death of Muhammad, contrasted by Christ's crucifixion and resurrection 800 years earlier, which there was unity. In Islam, the majority wanted to follow a close relative's teaching, and that majority is called the Sunni. The minority are Shia, or Shiite, as they're commonly referred to as. Now, the Shia are the more radical elements who attacked us and are fighting over in Iraq and Afghanistan right now. Now, having stated that as it pertains to their ideology, there are two parts of the Quran: pre-Mecca and post-Mecca. It's that simple. Pre-Mecca are all the supposedly poetic and mainly peaceable tenets you'd expect from a younger and more idealistic Muhammad. But after Mecca, all we see is the violent, hateful, intolerant, oppressive, and vitriolic aspects of Islam advanced by Muhammad and adopted by the Shiites in their interpretation of the application and acquittal of the Quran. This, by the way, is the only understanding the world has come to understand and expect from Islam moving forward. Now, I'll reprise a point I started to make earlier, just touching on World War II. How come is it, if Islam is a religion of peace, that they're conveniently ended up on the Axis side of the argument with Hirohito, Hitler, and Mussolini? And the Grand Mufti of Jerusalem, this guy named Hajj Amin al-Husseini, who, by the way, helped found the Muslim Brotherhood, who was responsible for seeding most of the Shiite terror groups we see and know of today, and, footnote historically, is a hero of the late Saddam Hussein, all pointing to one thing. The point in all of this being the following: if Islam is in fact a religion, and not the totalitarian ideology it's already been revealing itself to the world to be, where is the choice to leave? If you engage a religion, it must be by free choice, or there's no love in it. Islam has no such option. It is compulsory. You are Muslim or you die. After all, the word literally translated means to submit, all illustrating a point. August 18th, Fox News released a fairly interesting opinion dynamics poll on whether a mosque should be built at or near ground zero, roughly 62% said it was constitutional, i.e. a First Amendment guarantee that supported it. But when asked if it was right to do so, ergo, the morally correct thing to do, the same number said no. This in itself is telling, as they clearly discern the difference between the right and the symbolic and patriotic consideration. To bring clarity, the proper poll they should have held would have asked Americans if they believe if Islam is a religion compared to Catholicism, Judaism, and Christianity. I should suspect the answer would be very different if they had. Folks, point straight, Islam is not a religion. It never has been. It will require of whomever practices it to do whatever they must to advance its global agenda. It's that simple. And Americans are on to them. But the Australians have already beat America to the anti-politically correct punch on this. In Australia, if you practice Sharia, you simply aren't welcome there. Now it's time we got the hint here to put a Congress in office that will understand what it takes to defeat Islam by vetting it and defeating those who are a threat to peace and freedom, and act on it as well to protect America. What do you think? I'm Christopher Smith.